many changes, not only within radio, but the music business as a whole, but still you've maintained not one of the biggest radio stations in the city, but in the country, one of the most respected brands. How have you personally been able to keep adapting to the changes? You know, before it was, you know, analog, then it went to digital. Now, you know, you say Intercom is really making a big effort in streaming. How have you been able to adjust? Because, you know, I'll be real, a lot of your counterparts, and you can probably attest to this, people that you started out with weren't able to make the changes and aren't relevant how you are.
I think one of the key factors is having the right team around you. I don't claim to know everything. As a programmer, I definitely don't find every single record we put on V103. That's part of my team's mission as well. Whether it's Greg Street bringing me a hip-hop record, or Taylor Made, who's a part-time job, coming in my office and saying, oh, you know, JT, they're dropping a record at midnight tonight. Or whatever the case may be. You have to use your staff. And my staff ranges in demographically, you know, from 18 to 49 or whatever the case may be. So you talk to everyone, you use your mixers, you talk to people in the street. Even when you go to a concert, you watch what the DJ's playing, or you go to a strip club here in Atlanta. You watch what the DJ's playing and watch the reaction. You know, that's how you get ahead and stay relevant. You still have to go out, you still have to get out. You just can't sit in the office and think you're gonna pick records from the radio station and it's gonna work. And in V's case, it's not only hip hop and R&B, it's adult music too. You know, or finding records like, you know, the Miguel record, Ran, that was on what, the Superfly soundtrack? Never released as a single. I'm sitting home watching the first episode of Power, like a lot of us were, and it was Power, I believe, right? And the record came on. I was like, what's this? You know, Shazam it. Like, oh, call the label that night, I need the record. It took them a week to get a clean version, but I'm probably one of the few programmers out here playing a record like that because, you know, hey, I think it resonated and you gotta stay ahead of the curve. You know what I mean? So it's like, you have to constantly adapt to everyone that's going on. You have to study, pay attention to other media sources, whether it's on the radio, streaming, or whatever. I pay attention to everything. TV, whatever, downloads, see what people are downloading. We have high school cheerleaders coming on Greg Street show for high school football. You know, so, you know, Greg's doing the top 8 at 8, they're recording cheers. Every time a record come on, I'm watching to see if they react or if they don't react. Because the kids are always way ahead of us. At least me, I'm the older one here. Kids are way ahead of us when it comes to music. So watching their trends, they know artists that we may not even know yet, but that are popular with the kids. So you got to follow those trends.
Either unfamiliar with or doesn't like, what happens? They change the channel, and that affects your time spent listening, and you don't know when those people coming back. So, you know, it's very hard to program radio. I've been on both sides, and you know, it's hard because every song has to be chosen with the intent, like, I'm trying to keep this listener here. Is that correct? Whether you're doing your mixes and programming and stuff? Yeah.
Yeah. Most people listen to radio around 11 minutes at a time. You know, you may get up in the morning, turn on the radio, but if you got to get the kids ready, you got to get dressed, take a shower, get ready, mentally prepare, whatever the case may be. After that 11 minutes, you may be gone. You got to get in the car or whatever. You may get on the bus, you're gone already. So we have 11 minutes, for the most part, to impress you. That means if the DJ's talking too much or the on-air talent's talking too much, and they're not compelling, they're going to punch. If we play a song and you don't like the song, we're going to punch. In this market, there are, what, 10 FM urbans?
That's right.
You know, counting Urban AC, hip hop, praise, adult R&B, whatever. And that's a lot of competition. This is the most competitive urban market in the country, by far. So 11 minutes doesn't give you a lot of time to impress someone. So if we're doing a long talk break and it just drags on and on and on, I can punch into another morning show or whatever the case may be. You playing a record that doesn't work, I can turn to another channel. You know, and in the day of, or today is, everything is the phone and earbuds. I don't like that. Let me put on my earbuds and listen to my own playlist.
That's right.
That break the mold. Just because the record label puts out a record doesn't mean it works for V103. You know, we have a certain mission at V103. We have a certain sound. I look for records that fit that sound, whether it's harder hip hop, melodic hip hop, or R&B. And a lot of times we'll go and find something else. You know, it's like I told Jeezy, and you know, I'm blessed to know people like Jeezy because of V103. I'm like, Jeezy, this record with Ty Dolla $ign, Foreplay, is a hit. I heard it before it came out. I went to the studio, he had people come by the studio, I listened to it, like, Jeezy, this is the one. Not this record, not this record. They're good records, but Jeezy, this is the one. You know, years ago I told Jeezy, I Do was the one, go with it. I'm not gonna say, you know, my track record is perfect on every single record, because it's not, but I know records that fit our sound for V103. You know, well, our audience is probably broader than Streets and Hot. You know, Streets is good at what they do, Hot's good at what they do, and we're good at what we do. So I look for records that fit the sound, and sometimes it may be an unknown artist. You know, I got a record from an artist from New York. I think it's a really good record. I told the label I'm not there playing it yet, and I'm a New Yorker from the Bronx. But I'm not there yet because in Atlanta, anyone that lives here is gonna get the first look for V103. All right, live here. You didn't have to be born here, live here. Because it's about the culture and the lifestyle of Atlanta. Even though Atlanta's a melting pot now, you have people from up top, from the Midwest, from the West Coast. If you out here grinding in Atlanta and doing what you gotta do, and you have a good record, you'll probably get a shot with me eventually. I may not get it right away because I may not have room to play it or whatever the case may be, but if you're here in Atlanta, for me, you're gonna get a shot here first on V, and I'm sure it's the same thing with Streets and Hot, etc., and the Beat as well. You know, it's Atlanta, so we're gonna give an artist, whether it's R&B or hip hop, a shot first because we're catering to our local market. We're streaming this, we're streaming this, we're streaming this. I get it. And streaming is a very nationwide platform. But our goal here at V103 is to win in Atlanta. I'm more concerned about Atlanta. You know, so streaming may not have that kid from Southwest or wherever, Northeast, whatever, the SWATs, that they may not have that record that's bubbling up in the city. You know, like Hoochie Mama's been bubbling up for a minute in Atlanta. Okay, stations have started playing more and more in Atlanta. Okay, it's a good hip hop record for that younger demographic. You know, it may not, I don't know what it's doing on streaming right now. It may be doing well, but, you know, it starts here in Atlanta. Right. So I'm more interested for me to have what's streaming or have that overlap with records coming out of Atlanta, because I still think Atlanta is the capital of the music world right now. You know, I'm a New Yorker, but I'm gonna be real. Atlanta is the capital of hip hop, as far as I'm concerned. Atlanta is the capital of R&B, and we're the capital of music here in this city. It breaks out of Atlanta. If it's a hip hop record, it may break first on the Streets, it may break on Hot, or first, you know, V will follow that. You know, because they're gonna break hip hop first. If it's an R&B record, V's probably gonna break it first. Then even fits a Hot or a Streets, they may touch it. They may not, because it may not fit the particular audience they're going after. But to me, Atlanta is still what's important for our success at V103. So I think we just have a difference of opinion probably with streaming on that, because all I really care about is Atlanta. That's more important to our success.